Hello, my 4B detectives. I got my sunglasses ready because for science today, I'm going outside to teach you the parts of a plant. For your mission, you are going to need your living and non-living packet. Don't worry, you'll be saying goodbye to it soon because today we are going to be doing the last page. But before you can do that, you need to even know what these parts look like. Now, fortunately, I can't rip apart a plant. I really wish I had an extra, but I don't. So I went ahead and don't tell Miss Dania, but I drew the different parts of a plant at its different stages, and we're going to look at them, put them in order, and then you'll do that in your packet. You will also need your seed diary because today, or well, yesterday, was day number 11. Woohoo! This Wednesday is going to be our 2 weeks with our plants, where you're going to get to update us on how your plant looked after 2 weeks. If your prediction was correct, if it was totally wrong, which so far mine is, good. But let's see if your predictions come true. This is your second to last time writing in your seed diary. After Wednesday, you can update us, but I'll be eventually teaching you how to plant these outside. So without further ado, let's get outside so I can teach you the different parts of a plant.
You know, man, it is very loud. There are motorcycles, there are birds, there are planes, and there is the sun. I was going to wear these as a joke, but I really think I need them in order to get through this lesson. So I decided to come outside to teach you about the life cycle of a plant. So basically, a life cycle means the circle. So a cycle, just like a bicycle, it has circle wheels and it goes on and on and on. It always starts with something, and then as that something grows, and eventually it might have children or it might reproduce, which is something we know living things do. And today the life cycle is going to talk about how this one seed is able to grow into a plant just like your plants are doing and eventually drop its own seeds to start that cycle over again. So while our other plant is getting bigger, it's already started the lives of many more beings. So to get started, I need to show you the different pictures I have so that you can follow along with me. I really hope it's not too sunny for you. It is incredibly sunny for me that I feel like I'm actually just staring at a black screen, and I really hope that the camera's working. I'll have to be careful because the wind is blowing and this thing already hit me in the head once. Smokey's filming right now and he's shaking with every wind gust, so he's letting me know if I have to be careful for my head, okay? So, we're going to start off with the bean. Your bean was more yellowish. This one's brown, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like in the ground. But a bean normally starts off very round and it's ready to grow once it gets enough water or gets enough nutrients. Obviously, when it's in the soil, it's not getting any sunlight like we are because we're above ground. But once this thing starts to sprout and get above the ground, that's where the light becomes very important. So we're going to put our seed at the top. Seed. And I have my handy dandy magnets, so one of them broke, but oh well. I'm going to put the cards in the right spot when we go around, and then you'll be doing it in your packet. Once that seed has gotten water, it splits open and it's able to have its roots come out so it can hold down and make a house for itself in the soil. So looking at these, you have to see which one of our index cards really looks like it has just a bit of seeds popping up and it's split open. Now this one has grown a little too much, so we're not there yet. And this one's already completely out of the ground growing flowers. Oh, but I do see this one here. It looks the closest to my seed, and you can see that it's only dropped a little bit of stuff. So I think that's going to be next. Those are the roots. Once those roots have held down into the ground, the plant is finally able to grow. Now it doesn't have sunlight yet, so it's not going to be that nice bright green that we know a lot of plants to have. So we're looking for something that's kind of yellowish. Let's look. This is a fully grown plant. It's already dropping seeds, so we can wait on that for a little while. This one only has flowers, but it's definitely already grown. I have two more choices here. I'll hold them both up to you. You have this yellowish plant, but it's sprouting some green. And then you have this little baby yellowish plant that's sprouting out of the ground, and I can still see the seed. I think we found our winner. This is called a sapling. Now, this is called a sprout. A sprout is a little bit of stem that's starting to pop out. It still hasn't gotten its color yet. It's still rooted with that stem, rooted with that bean and the roots, and it's coming up so that it can get the nutrients from the light now. It's too big to be living underground and just using the nutrients and water from the soil, so it needs the sun to give it some more food. And though I made a mistake, this is called a sprout. Oh, Smokey says, be careful, Miss Remitz. It's getting windy. If you ever eaten bean sprouts, they are those white little stems that have little yellow pods on at the end. A lot of people put them in maybe a stir fry, or maybe when you go get sushi, or maybe in a salad. So you can actually eat bean sprouts. You don't have to wait for the bean to form. Now that we've started to sprout out of the ground and we're starting to get that sunlight, we need to look for something that has some green from the sunlight, but it's also still yellow. We're looking for a sapling. A sapling is the name of a baby plant. So you might have a baby tree, or you might have a baby bush, or a baby bean sprout. Now, we saw already some fully grown plants down here. So I don't think we're exactly there yet. We're not ready to drop our seeds. We're not ready to have flowers. But we are ready to have our stem start to get stronger. Here, I'll move it over, sorry. We're ready for our stem to get stronger, and we're ready to have those buds pop up so we can have flowers and eventually have more bean sprouts pop up to start dropping into the ground. So we found our sapling. Oops, that's not a magnet. I am filming with a squirrel, which is a lot of fun, and a bumblebee, so hopefully they don't mind that I'm out in my outdoor classroom. Anyways, now that we have our sapling, we need to notice if we have any flowers. Before a plant can actually become a fully grown plant, it needs to have flower buds that can pop up and have new plants grow from their flowers, or they can drop beans. So we need to find some budding flowers. This one's already dropping seeds and I can see the bean sprouts, whereas this one has growing leaves and I can already see the pink of the flowers popping up. I think we found it. So I hope you can see it. I know it's a little hard to since it's a little far away, but now we're only on our last step. We found our seed. We had our seeds get its roots. We had it sprout and eventually become a baby plant called a seedling, and eventually it got its own flowers to bloom. And those are the flowers that we just saw here. Normally they take on a pink color. But lastly, we just have a fully grown bean plant. It's ready to drop its own beans. It's ready to feed you. It has a bunch of leaves. It probably has a more thick stem now, or it's just really tall and it's flopping over, but it's getting that sunlight it needs. This is the plant that you would take out of your jar, out of your planter, out of your cup, and you're going to put it in the ground. That's what we're going to learn about later on. And we'll call this beans. because now we made it to the beans in the end for a bean plant. Of course, it was a bean plant the entire time, but now it has beans to show for it. So that is called the life cycle of a plant. And the reason it's called a cycle is because it's going in a circle. It's starting with a seed and ending with a parent plant, a mommy plant, a daddy plant, dropping another seed into the ground to start all over. Maybe the plant's dropping the seed, or you and I are eating the seed, or a bird is taking the seed, flying it somewhere else and dropping it so that it can start over again. But what we've learned is that it needs water, nutrients from the soil, sunlight, and air to start growing. And speaking of air, it's getting a little windy here. Smokey's starting to shake a lot, so I think we should go back inside to the classroom to look at my plants and your packet. Let's go.
Whew! All right, so now that we have gone outside and we learned the different parts of a plant using all of my index cards, you are going to have to go and do the last page in your packet. You can cut these out if you want and glue them on, or you can just use your handy dandy pencil and put them in order on your paper with the spelling right here to help you. I want you to make sure that you take a picture of your work so that you can send it to me, but also don't throw your packet away. Don't feed it to your dog. Don't flush it down the toilet. Don't let your pet chinchilla roll around in it. I want you to keep this so that you can bring it back to me when we get back to Parkway, okay? But now, before I say goodbye, let's look at my plants. You'll be very surprised.
Happy Sunday, you know what that means. We've gotten to day 11. If you're doing this on Monday, that's totally okay. I wrote it in for Sunday the 29th, since I know that's the 11th day that we planted our seed. I already went ahead and cut my paper, drew a line, and cut it in half so I could write about my plant that gets light and my plant that doesn't get light. And the reason I'm not showing you them yet is because I am so incredibly surprised that every day I go, oh my goodness, what? And so I can't wait to show that to you. But get ready. You're going to need your packet so that you can draw what your plant looks like and write what's going on in that cup of yours. So here's my plant that has been getting water. You can see I watered it already. And it's been getting sunlight. I followed your example, and I went and found a new light source. I went and found another windowsill since it wasn't getting much, enough light. But I am so excited. I've been waiting for this. Every day it's gotten a little bit better. As of Friday, actually, these seeds, there was only one of them, and it was under the ground, and I could only see a little popping up. But in the past 2 days, you can see it's grown out, and I really hope that this is, oh thank goodness, I was going to be so scared if I had a third one in here. This is the shell. Oh, yep, you can see it broke open. This is what your seed came in when I gave it to you, and the shell has now popped off. So if you were to touch your seed, it'd be very slimy. And while they're still not getting that much sunlight since they're babies still, the saplings, you can see that they're still that yellow. And eventually they're going to become that bright green that we all know bean plants to have. I can see that my leaf is ready to come out. My original seed has split. And eventually that's going to grow even taller and start growing leaves, hopefully flowers, and eventually more seeds will drop. So here are my two. Hopefully they're not fighting for space. But I'm so happy that after 11 days, I'm finally seeing something with my plant. My prediction was that I was going to see nothing with my no-light plant. But not only has my no-light plant grown, apparently there's more than 2 seeds. Ready for the big reveal? So this is I have to zoom out all the way. This is my plant that has been getting no sunlight whatsoever. The only time you could say it's getting sunlight is right now, as it is next to the table, or on the table next to a window. But this has been in my closet. I did have it in a bathroom closet, so my prediction is that
even if something doesn't get light, or my guess is that even if something doesn't get light, as long as it's getting a lot of water, which from showering or baths or washing your hands, all that water goes into the air and maybe is getting sucked into this little guy. But I moved him to a darker and colder closet, and then this plant now has leaves, it's sprouted open. On Friday, this plant was this tall. I am not kidding you. This plant was this tall. And not only did it grow taller, this one, which was maybe the height of those, has now grown. Turns out there was a third plant I had no idea about. And turns out, if you look down here, there's a fourth one. Now, I thought I only planted one seed. I honestly thought I forgot when I was rushing to get out of school the other day. But for those of you who told me that you couldn't find your seeds in your soil, who knows? Maybe I stole them from you. So here are my plants. As you can see, a lot has been going on only in 2 days. I can't wait because this Wednesday we are going to do our 2-week, our final seed diary post. If you want to keep updating each other on your plants, feel free to do so. I think I am, just so we can eventually see this one grow. If yours also looks like this, do not worry. It does not have to look like this. It's just sometimes some seeds maybe are getting a little more sunlight, or they're getting a little more water, a little more attention. For all I know, these seeds were just healthier and were ready to take on all of that nutrients, whereas these ones are having a harder time. Maybe because they're planted right next to each other, their roots are battling for space. Who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and write in my journal about how I see finally some sprouts are popping up, but they're not more than an inch tall. At least one is split. And then for this one, I'll talk about how crazy it is that this one is growing. I'm going to wait to measure it until the end. Feel free to measure yours as often as you want. I'm going to talk about how there's 4 of them. I can't wait to see how this one grows. This one's taken 11 days just to get out of the ground. So for all I know, that's a 4th plant, or maybe it's a stem off of one of these. But that's what I'm going to write about. And go ahead and get writing on yours. But